Now at 11, Portland under an icy siege.
So be prepared and be safe out there.
Roads around the region treacherous without traction. Thousands still waiting for the return of power and heat.
But it's just horribly inconvenient because the house is cold and you can't cook and it sucks.
But for some customers, it could be as long as 10 days.
You heard it right there. Thousands still struggling tonight without electricity as ice continues to bear down on the region. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Brittany Folkers. And let's get right to it with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino in the Weather Center for us. Matt, I think we're all collectively hoping that this is the last little blast of this storm.
And it is, but you're right. It's getting old for a lot of people. I think people are getting exhausted with storm exhaustion, if you will, there. Outside right now in Portland, it's good. There's not a lot of traffic out there. It's 31 degrees and it is freezing, raining still. And it's going to keep doing that overnight tonight. Look at the temperatures, though. It is pretty interesting. The airport's back down to 31. They had been at 32, 32 Happy Valley, 33 Beaverton, Sherwood, Forest Grove. So there is some warmer air south and west. That's what we expected. I even had one report of 34 degrees up at 800 feet in the West Hills. But downtown and basically north and east of the West Hills, it is still below freezing and we are seeing significant icing. Now for more good news, if you will, look, Salem's punched up to 47, McMinnville 38. So the warmer air is not that far away from us and we will begin to melt out during the day tomorrow. Still have that east wind pouring out of the gorge, but elsewhere the winds are calm on the west side, which is one of the reasons why they're warming up. And if we go a little farther south, we're seeing a good south wind now, about 10 miles an hour in Salem. But again, it's an indication that that warmer southerly wind is kicking in. We still have a lot of moisture to get through tonight, so the freezing rain is going to continue. And for that reason, we have an ice storm warning until 6 a.m. Now, by that time, things should really begin to be melting out in the Portland area, but not until another half to 3/4 of an inch of ice forms, especially east of I-205. The West Hills, maybe as much as half an inch, but those warmer temperatures are a sign that maybe it'll be a little bit less. And the rest of Portland, 1/10 to 25/100 of an inch. Melting from the south to north begins tomorrow. Can't wait. Brittany?
Me neither. All right. Thanks so much, Matt. This winter weather is especially tough on the hundreds of thousands of people without power. No lights, no internet, TV, and probably most importantly, no heat. The outages stretch from the metro area deep into the Willamette Valley. Christelle Coomway is here for us with an update. Christelle.
Yes, Brittany. So earlier this evening, Portland General Electric announced that more than 200,000 of their customers were without power. For Pacific Power, that's more than 18,000 customers. Now, while some customers may be getting their power back earlier than expected, for others, it could take days.
Been without power off and on since Friday night. The power did return this morning, late last night, early this morning, but then it did go off again about 1 p.m.
The Smith family huddled in their Clackamas apartment Sunday, hoping the power would return. Instead came another challenge.
A little bit after 3 o'clock, we heard this huge crash. I hop up immediately, I come outside, and this is what I'm greeted with. I'm like, are you serious?
The carport in their parking lot collapsed under the weight of all the snow and ice falling on top of several cars.
If it's not taken care of, they could still collapse. And not only my vehicle, but my wife's vehicle and my neighbor's vehicle as well. And mind you, we're all veterans. If our vehicles are damaged, that's our lifeline. That's our livelihood.
Smith says they have no idea when the damage will be taken care of. Unfortunately, the same goes for getting power back, according to Stephen Corson with PGE.
I hate to say this, but for some customers, it could be as long as 10 days before we've got everybody back on. That's an extreme situation, but we need people to be prepared for the potential for some extended outages.
It sounded like a war zone out back.
Jennifer Weaver in Salem knows how life changes with no power.
And then we saw 3 transformers blow, and it just was boom, boom, boom.
She remembers transformers blowing and tree limbs falling on the roof when the power went out Friday night.
And we were just heading to bed, and it got pitch black. We had to locate flashlights and candles, and the house temperature started going down, and that was freezing.
Weaver got her power back earlier than expected Sunday morning, but thousands like the Smiths are still waiting in the cold and dark. Clackamas County is one of the hardest hit areas. This PGE outage map shows as of 9 p.m. Sunday, 268 outages impacting over 100,000 people, each with their own worries about loved ones.
I'm a father of 4. I have 4 kids I have to be responsible for. If my power doesn't come back on and now I can't get out either, there's no one doing Uber right now, there's no one doing Lyft, there's no one coming out right now to help us.
If you know anyone still waiting for power to be turned back on, you can head on over to the PGE website, and that's portlandgeneral.com. There you can put in your phone number and get an estimate of when you could possibly get that power turned back on. Brittany?
All right, Christelle, thank you. Does that sound familiar? A viewer sent us the sounds of crackling trees from their yard in Lake Oswego. Throughout Clackamas County, ice has been taking out trees and knocking out that power, as Christelle mentioned. Tim Gordon reports for us.
Jim and Peggy Craig have been married a long time. On this Valentine's Day, they are working together to clear the ice outside their River Road home.
My wife wanted the snow. She just loves snow. But the ice, no.
The Craigs want to go get gas and other supplies, but the conditions are bad.
A lot of ice. And we lost our power yesterday, about 24 hours ago. And, we haven't been able to get out, so we're going to try that.
Just across the street, a big tree took out utility lines. Ironically, it's not power lines in this mess, but the power's out anyway. Jim and Peggy's next door neighbors didn't want to go on camera, but they did share their concern with us about that tree. You see the one that's leaning? It didn't used to lean before this ice storm came in. Now it's leaning right towards their house. An arborist tells them it is going to come down, but he can't do anything about it until PGE comes in, because you see that power line is running right through it. Just a few miles away, we found a whole line of trees in trouble outside several duplex homes on Roth Road.
A lot of jumpiness. It's very cold. We don't have power.
Ricky LeBaron has reason to be jumpy as ice and branches continue to fall.
Yeah. Yep.
Ricky says a big tree came down Saturday morning and hit the front porch.
Piece split off and fell that way, and then another tree landed there, and there was like 3 or 4 along here.
There is a lot of work to do, and arborists are being inundated with calls. Dash Shank hopes he can get his crews out Monday if things thaw a little.
Just be patient with the tree crews. We are definitely trying, and we're going to work and do everything we can to get everyone back into their homes and get these problems solved with. And so we appreciate that understanding.
Back on River Road, this couple stepped out of their house without power.
We do have a gas fireplace downstairs, but there's no fan, but at least it's breaking the chill.
Yes. Hoping for a thaw like everyone else.
But it's just horribly inconvenient because the house is cold and you can't cook and it sucks.
As for Peggy Craig, she had higher hopes for this weekend's storms.
Not this, certainly. But you cope, do what you have to do. So we're bundled up.
Tim Gordon, KGW News.
Now to some developing news. The Coast Guard is investigating reports that a car went off the Glen Jackson Bridge on I-205 and into the Columbia River. The call came in around 5:45 tonight. This was the scene from our traffic cameras as crews responded. They've searched the water, but so far no one and no car has been found. We'll keep you updated on air and online as we learn more. Let's take a live look now at I-84 in the Gorge. You can see traffic, the camera's shaking out there. It's still kind of windy. The 45-mile stretch between Troutdale and Hood River reopened this morning. It had been closed since Friday night, and as you can see, conditions not great. Cars, trucks, slow moving, some even stalled. Highway 18 is also back open tonight. The highway was closed between Rose Lodge and Grand Ronde. ODOT crews had to clear more than 400 downed trees. Just a mess. And many of you have been wondering, when is my street going to get plowed? Meteorologist Joe Ranieri has more on the areas crews are working on and why it's been such a challenge.
Over the last couple of days, we've been getting a lot of calls into our newsroom from viewers wondering, when is my neighborhood or my street going to get plowed? Well, unless you live in Portland along a busy street or thoroughfare, you're going to have to wait a little bit.
After 3 days of snow and ice over parts of Portland, streets in some neighborhoods have been too much for drivers to navigate through. Just take a look at this video of drivers spinning out along Holgate and 82nd. Crews with Peabody are using 57 plows, putting down sand and salt, and they have a handful of trucks de-icing.
Our crews have been working around the clock since Wednesday night. They continue to. We've got more than 100 people on day shift.
Peabody has this interactive site where you can follow where crews are working. Rivera says their focus right now is on the major streets in the Rose City.
Those are the streets that everyone knows about in Portland. Those are, Burnside, Capitol Highway, Multnomah Boulevard, 122nd Avenue.
While Peabody has been all over the city, ODOT has been responsible for the major highways and freeways. They've been just as busy.
We've got more than 200 people out working. We have access to around 100 trucks with our 10 maintenance yards just in the Portland metro area.
Even with that many crew out on the roads?
They're throwing it all at this. This is one of those that requires everything. The sand, the salt, and the mag chloride, which is the de-icer.
This storm has proven to be a challenge for both Peabody and ODOT trying to clear the roads.
Crews are having to go right back to the areas that they just drove over, just took care of, just plowed, because it's freezing back up. This amazing wind is blowing the snow right back over the roads.
With more freezing rain in the forecast, your best bet for now.
You really should not be driving this.
Joe Ranieri, KGW News.
An update now on transit. Blue Line Max service has been restored. TriMet says green, orange, red, and yellow lines remain disrupted. Shuttle buses are providing limited service on sections of those lines. As for regular bus service, 17 of the 47 lines that operate on Sundays are running. The buses are all chained and cannot go faster than 25 miles per hour. And due to dangerous conditions, TriMet says bus and shuttle services will end at midnight. You can check for updates at trimet.org/alerts. Coming up, Valentine's Day, an arrow to the heart for local restaurants. Planning for the return of indoor diners, local eateries instead face storm damage and canceled reservations.